On March 28, 2025, at approximately 2:14 p.m., emergency services received a 911 call reporting an infant in cardiac arrest at an apartment in Susquehanna Township, PA, just outside the city of Harrisburg. The caller was 24-year-old Jose Melendez Padilla, the boyfriend of the baby's mother, Layla Souders. Jose told the dispatcher that 4-month-old Ioni Souders had suddenly stopped breathing. According to Jose, he said he had been feeding the baby a bottle of formula when she started crying, then began having what he described as a seizure. He told police that the baby had been experiencing seizures for several weeks. By the time officers arrived at the apartment, they found Ioni on the floor of a bedroom, not breathing and completely unresponsive. One of the officers immediately began CPR and continued performing life-saving measures until the EMS arrived. The baby was rushed to Penn State Milton S. Hershey Medical Center, but despite continued medical efforts, Ioni never regained consciousness. At 6:17 p.m. that same evening, doctors pronounced her dead. At first, the situation was treated as a medical emergency involving a possible seizure. But the moment doctors began examining Ioni, it became clear something was very wrong. Welcome, lambs. Welcome to Love and Murder, Heartbreak to Homicide. This is a midweek mini because I had an episode that I needed to bring you, that I needed to talk about, that I needed to get out of my system. So here we are on this Wednesday. And I'm so sorry that I have to bring you this episode. I'm so sorry that I have to bring you this case, but I have to. Before we get back to the case, I want to remind you to go ahead and subscribe to Love and Murder on whatever platform you're on. You can also subscribe on our Patreon for free, where you do get some bonuses, just some bonuses for being a free lamb. Patreon.com/Love and Murder. But if you want even more bonuses, then go ahead and sign up to be part of the Lamb Fam using one of our bonus tiers. As a matter of fact, we have a bonus episode coming out this week. We actually have two. We have a bonus episode coming out this week that talks about a string of violent attacks and murders happening over only 8 days. And the person committing the murders scrawled victim 4 in 2 weeks. Catch me if you can. On the wall in one of the victim's blood, taunting police. So we have that. That's only at the $5 a month tier. So if you join that, you do get one bonus episode guaranteed a month. Sometimes you do get more. Patreon.com/Love and Murder. Then we also have a Kai Rants coming out this week about, a guy whose girlfriend got a compliment and he just lost it on her. So I ranted the rant about that one. So those are the two bonuses that we have coming out right there in our Patreon as part of our Lamb Fam. Patreon.com/Love and Murder. Now, without further ado, let's get back into this midweek mini. But I do want to warn you, this case definitely includes graphic detail of child abuse and child sexual abuse. So listener discretion is heavily advised. Medical staff discovered the 4-month-old had a compound fracture in her right femur. That alone raised serious concerns, but as doctors continued evaluating her injuries, they found even more. The infant had suffered skull fractures, healing rib fractures, and traumatic injuries to her brain, neck, and chest. Then, an autopsy confirmed even more trauma that medical staff couldn't see with the naked eye. Brain edema, or swelling of the brain, along with rib fractures caused by what medical examiners described as compressive loading. Doctors noted that several of the injuries were in different stages of healing, which meant that they had not all happened at the same time. Based on the extent of the trauma and the amount of force required to cause these injuries, the medical examiner determined that they were not consistent with CPR or with an accidental fall. The official cause of death was listed as multiple traumatic injuries, and the manner of death was ruled a homicide. At that point, the focus quickly turned to the 2 adults responsible for caring for Ioni, her 20-year-old mother, Layla, and Layla's boyfriend, Jose. Layla was working at the time of the incident, while Jose had been acting as Ioni's primary caregiver. So he was arrested that same day and initially charged with aggravated assault. Layla herself was already somewhat known in the Harrisburg area because back in 2019, when she was just 14 years old, she had been reported missing, and her disappearance made local headlines. As investigators began digging deeper into Jose's background, they discovered that he was in the United States illegally. One report indicated he had entered the country in May 2024 and was supposed to leave by August of that same year. However, a police affidavit later stated that his legitimate visa had actually expired on January 12, 2025. Investigators also found that Jose had been using fraudulent documents to maintain employment. In the apartment, officers located a fake permanent resident card and social security card that were in plain sight. Both documents were under the name Rudy Suero Diaz. When questioned about the identification, Jose admitted that the cards were fake and said he used them to get work. While investigators were still working through the initial evidence, another name surfaced in connection with the baby. A man named Wiki LaRoque came forward claiming that he was Ioni's biological father. Wiki himself had a criminal history, having previously been charged in a 2020 shooting involving attempted homicide. She seems to have a type. He said that he felt that he had not done enough. Quote, "I wouldn't wish anything like this to happen to anybody else because this is really tragic." His family planned a vigil for Ioni, and although they had reportedly been kept away from both Layla and the baby, they still tried to honor her after her death. In the meantime, as investigators reviewed medical records and examined the baby's injuries, investigators concluded that Ioni had been suffering ongoing abuse for more than a month, starting sometime in late February 2025. In fact, one of the earliest warning signs happened when Layla canceled a scheduled doctor's appointment for Ioni that month. During questioning, Layla later admitted that she had intentionally skipped the visit because the baby had visible bruises and she was afraid doctors would notice. So your child had visible bruises and you were more afraid for the boyfriend than what was happening with your child. You piece of utter shit. Investigators searched Jose's phone after he gave them permission and discovered a series of text messages and WhatsApp conversations between him and Layla that revealed a growing resentment towards the baby. In one message, Jose wrote, quote, "I hate seeing her every day." In another, referring to Layla's pregnancy, he told her, quote, "I hate that you felt her for 8 effing months, a effing life that isn't ours. I hate feeling this hate. I would love to love her, but I swear I can't." You know what you can do? Walk the F away. You could just leave. If this isn't your baby and you have a problem with it, like it's hurting you and it's eating you up inside, you could take your 2 little legs and just freaking leave this girl alone. That's what you could have done. The messages continued in that same tone, quote, "I don't love her and I will never be able to love her. We will have this constant fight, you and I, all our lives." No, you can leave. Leave. You don't have to fight with her. You don't have to stay with her. You don't have to like her child. You could just leave. Nobody's forcing you to stay there. At another point, he told Layla he was, quote, "absolutely fed up," and that he felt discouraged because he believed there were no opportunities for him. In some messages, Jose even suggested that the baby should be put up for adoption. If the mother was okay with that, instead of her idiot self leaving her baby to get abused, and who knows, maybe she was doing it herself as well, but either way, the fact that you knew this was happening, and I know you knew it was happening because you saw the bruises on the baby and you didn't take the baby to the doctor. But what I'm saying, the fact that you knew this was happening, it would have been better if you had put the baby up for adoption. As investigators reconstructed the timeline, the abuse appeared to escalate dramatically in the week leading up to Ioni's death. On March 22nd, 2025, Jose admitted that he struck the baby so hard that she went unconscious. This is why I can't be a cop. This is why I can't be a cop. Because as soon as I heard that, I would have punched the out of that person. I would have just put my badge on the table and said, I know, and I'd have walked out. But that was after I used all the force in my upper body to punch the living daylights out of that person. Do you hear me? This is why I can't be a cop. According to investigators, he had to perform CPR to revive her. So he knocked this 4-month-old. Actually, she was probably less than 4 months old at that time. He knocked this infant out with his man strength. An infant! And then he revived her. Not because he gave a frick. Let's be real here. But because he was probably worried that he killed her and something might happen to him. That same day, he sent Layla a video showing the baby having a seizure. And do you think that she took her baby to the doctor? No, she did not. Instead, she left Jose still caring for her baby after that. Do you see why I'm not separating him and her when it comes to this? She'd have got hit too, Then on March 27th, just one day before the fatal 911 call, Jose sent Layla a text message about the baby's leg. In the message, he wrote, quote, by the way, she has a much fatter right leg, the one that was broken, by the way, compared to the other one. At that point, the infant's femur had already been fractured, but they still didn't go to the freaking doctor. As investigators continued reviewing phone records, they discovered that Jose had been searching Google and TikTok for home remedies relating to the baby's symptoms and injuries rather than taking her to the doctor. How do you fix a femur at home with ginger and lemon? Are you freaking kidding me right now? How about if you're so worried about it, don't do the shit. Walk out of these people's lives. That's how you could prevent it. That's how you could fix it. Oh, my God. Detectives also learned that both Jose and Layla had attempted to delete. You see? Complicit. She's freaking complicit. Had attempted to delete their WhatsApp messages history after the baby died. Come freaking complicit. But the messages, of course, were still recoverable. Freaking morons. Meanwhile, detectives continued questioning Layla about what had happened inside the apartment. At first, Layla attempted to explain the baby's injuries by telling police that she had accidentally dropped Ioni in the shower a few days earlier. The backhand, oh my God, the backhand I want to give this woman. Oh my God, my hand is itching. I want to slap her. She even performed a supposed reenactment of the accident to show investigators how the fall had occurred. But as medical evidence continued to contradict that story, she eventually admitted that she was lying, a fucking duh, and that she had done so to protect Jose. During questioning, Layla admitted that Jose had been abusing the baby for weeks. According to her statement, he had punched the infant in the head, punched her in the right thigh, and kicked chairs that the baby was sitting in. And what did she do? She stayed with this dude. She stayed with this abusive MFer and tried to protect him. Not try and protect the baby that she carried. She tried to protect this jackass. Okay, I'm trying to calm down. She also admitted that she knew about earlier incidents, including the time when the baby had stopped breathing after Jose had hit her. And then even after that incident, Layla still allowed Jose to continue watching her baby. Once detectives had Layla's statement, the medical findings, and the recovered messages, Jose's charges were upgraded to first-degree murder. Layla was initially charged with third-degree murder, but prosecutors said bump all that and decided that that did not go far enough. The prosecution's position was that this was not a case where Layla simply failed to understand what was happening. They argued that she knew exactly what kind of danger the baby was in and still left her there. Prosecutor Jennifer Jelty said, quote, the evidence showed she was aware of serious ongoing physical abuse of the child, and she allowed the child to still be with the defendant. She also said Layla, quote, knew the child was at risk of death. Thank you. Thank you, prosecution. Exactly. That is why Layla's charge was later upgraded from third-degree murder to first-degree murder. You freaking jerk, under accomplice liability. Exactly. In other words, prosecutors argued that even as Jose was the one directly inflicting most of the physical abuse, Layla knew what was happening, saw the condition Ioni was in, canceled the doctor's visit to keep people from seeing bruises, lied to police to protect Jose, and still allowed him to remain the person caring for the baby. From the prosecution's perspective, that made her criminally responsible for Ioni's death too. 100%. As for Jose, it gets worse. The case against him only got worse. It got worse. Brace yourselves. During the phone search, investigators found more than texts and search histories. They also found, photos. Okay, brace yourselves. I'm telling you. They also found photos on his phone showing his genitals in the infant's mouth. And I'm going to tell you, and this is truthfully, if I was a cop and I saw that, the uppercut, I'm telling you, I would have just laid down my badge because I would have been done that day. I would have been done that day. There's no freaking way. Oh my God. So that discovery led to an entirely new set of charges. Oh my God. I just, can't let it sink in. Don't let it sink in, Kai. Okay. Okay. Jose was hit with 2 counts of involuntary deviate sexual intercourse with a child, 2 counts of sexual abuse of children involving child pornography, and 2 counts of possession of child pornography. Sorry, my jaw is really clenched. I'm trying to calm down. I'm bringing it down. So by that point, the case was no longer just about the physical abuse and killing of a 4-month-old. It was also about sexual abuse documented on the same phone that had already shown his hatred towards this 4-month-old baby, his awareness of her broken leg, and his choice to search for home remedies instead of getting her medical care. Police and prosecutors made it clear how seriously they viewed what had happened in that apartment. Susquehanna Township Public Safety Director Rob Martin said, quote, "This is the most horrific incident I have seen in my 4 decades as a police officer. I want to commend my officers for the absolutely excellent work on this case, and I am saddened to see them endure this trauma." That's what I'm saying. I couldn't. I feel so bad for those officers. And that is saying a lot, coming from someone who had spent nearly 40 years in law enforcement. The preliminary hearing for both Jose and Layla was scheduled for April 10th, 2025, before Judge Marina I can't say her last name, Urrutia, Marina Urrutia. Both remained held without bail at Dauphin County Prison. In Jose's case, the court specifically deemed him a threat to society and the victim. He's a threat to everybody right now. He's a threat to me because if I see him, he's a threat to society, like you said. The Dauphin County District's Attorney Office formally announced that it intended to seek the death penalty against Jose. Prosecutors filed notice of aggravating circumstances and cited 2 main reasons: torture, as they said, and the fact that the victim was under the age of 12. And through all of this, just remember that 4-month-old Ioni had no ability to protect herself, had no ability to explain what was happening to her, and had no ability to get away from these 2 frickin', I'm trying not to curse, adults who were supposed to keep her safe. As of now, the case hasn't gone to trial yet, so everything said here is alleged, but I'm going to keep a close eye on this case because both of these frickin' sickos deserve worse than what they did to that baby, and I want to see how it unfolds. If y'all get a plea deal for any of the people involved, the anger I'm going to have. In the meantime, if you suspect child abuse, call the Child Help National Child Abuse Hotline at 1-800-4A-CHILD. That's 1-800-422-4453. Or go to childhelp.org. All calls are toll-free and confidential, and the hotline is available 24/7 in more than 170 languages. And if you didn't get that information, you can go to my website, murderandlove.com. That's love and murder backwards, murderandlove.com. And in the menu options, you will see the option for resources, and you can find all of that information there. That is all I have for you today. You heard my rant. I want to hear your rant. And when this goes to trial, we will open the fictional court of love and murder, and you, the Lamb jury, will have your say. In the meantime, right now, tell me what your thoughts are on this case in the comments below. I want to hear them. You heard mine. Oh my God, did you hear mine? And I need to go calm down. I'm going to go sit with my child and watch some Disney Channel now. Thank you for joining me. Thank you for your support. Thank you for helping me be a voice of Ioni, because somebody needed to be her voice. Don't forget, another way that you can be the voice of the victim is by helping Love and Murder continue being on air and continue being listener funded, so I can tell the cases exactly how they need to be told, just like this one. You can do that by joining the Lamb Fam. You can start off at the $3 a month tier, or the best tier is the $5 a month, where you do get at least one bonus episode a month. Sometimes you do get more. But most importantly, it helps me to continue bringing you these cases and being the voice of the victim. And there are some people who try to shame me for, advertising my Patreon because they believe I should work 14-hour days for free. I don't understand it, but okay. If you are not one of those people, then head on over to the Patreon, become part of the Lamb Fam, patreon.com/love and murder. And I will see you in the next case. Bye.